It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ben and I
Depends on which zone you're in.
Ben and I were
AM or FM.
We're talking about Cameron Crowe in the break.
Mm-hmm.
Great filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get top 3 stories started on a downer note, but Rob Reiner, what a
absolutely
horrible
story.
But I was listening to a news update this morning and rattling off the movies that he made. God, was a hit machine.
One of the most underrated directors, weirdly. Yeah.
Just banger after banger.
His 80s are, he was probably the best director of the 80s, no question about it. 5 perfect movies in the 80s. Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, Stand By Me. Yeah, you just keep going.
Oh, I love Stand By Me. Yeah. Stephen King called that the best adaptation of one of his books, which is really saying something.
Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap is in the lexicon. People who've never seen the movie quote it, not knowing that's what they're quoting. That's how important it was. No, he was a true filmmaking genius.
Well, that was the first, what do they call it, mockumentary?
Right.
Or whatever. That's its own genre.
Yeah, The Office doesn't exist without that.
Yeah.
All of these things that are out there that have changed our culture don't exist without Rob Reiner. No question about it.
So bad. That's sad news. Yeah, we were talking about Cameron Crowe during the break. All right, time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, it's Flag Day. That's 2 G's there at the Delta Center today.
Cooper Flag in town. Ace Bailey, Cooper Flag. Probably in other instances might have been a kind of bigger matchup. The Jazz are coming off of a bit of a surprise win on Friday night over the Memphis Grizzlies. Keyonte George, career high 39 points, and was truly just incredible in the game. I thought he was fabulous. But, I just not sure Ace Bailey is the story of the Jazz anymore, like I think a lot of people may have expected him to be. He's been on a little bit of a down streak over his last 4. He's not shooting the ball particularly well, hasn't shot over 40% in any of his last 4 games. But no, the story recently has just been the continued brilliance of Keyonte George and the fact that he's truly breaking out as maybe the face of the franchise. Whether he's the best player or not, I don't know. That could still easily belong to Lowry because of how unique Lowry is, but as far as what the personality of the team is, because Lowry's such an introvert and Keyonte can be such an extrovert, those guys tend to control the locker room and the culture of the team. And Keontae's performance on the floor is justifying it.
He's been great. I am trying to bring up these stats as we speak, Ben, but I got lost thinking about Keyonte and comparisons to where he's at in his career, and I was thinking of the patience that the fan base showed with Gordon Hayward when he was here.
Interesting.
And I actually don't think Gordon Hayward's development is the norm, where he was just a steady, if you look at the arc, Ben, steady, right?
Straight line.
Topped out in what would have been his, 7th year, 6th year with the Jazz. Topped out at 21.9 points per game. If you want to get deeper into it, he was really shooting from 3 that year, almost 40%. He was 47% from the field. Really, really good. That's 7 years of development and an incline, Ben. Currently, Keyonte George is at 22.9 points per game, up from 16.8 and then up from 13. Now, if you want to look at it in a sense of comparing to Gordon Hayward, his early years, he wasn't really playing where Keyonte George was. Uh-huh. So Keyonte got a little bit of a head start. But the development arc has been faster and a sharper uptick.
Steeper, yeah, definitely steeper.
But he currently is surpassing Gordon Hayward's mark with the Jazz, although he's not shooting it as well. So, and we forget what a all-around player Gordon was.
Yeah, Gordon was a great player.
And we're just looking at points per game. But I kind of thought, why is Keyonte not viewed more like the Gordon Hayward in his development, which was always optimism? People were closing the book on Keyonte George last year. And I don't know if people are actually appreciating how well that he is playing this year.
Well, look, there was a controversial post over the weekend where a Jazz fan, he's a draft guy, was talking about how you can't build around Lauri Markkanen or Keyonte George or Ace Bailey because they're just not those types of players and they're not good enough. And Yusuf Nurkic tweeted out a photo of this person and said, man, I wish we could build around you. And this player, this kid does not look like an NBA player, or this person does not look like an NBA player. And there was some blowback and some fans supporting Nurk and some fans angry at Nurk, and neither here nor there. I think what it does lay an argument for is that we have a really hard time adjusting our understanding of who players are once we develop kind of that early impression. That first impression of Keyonte George is an inefficient chucker or a turnover machine or not a point guard or a bad defensive player or these high usage guards that you and I have criticized a lot in the NBA that you can't win with. When they actually evolve, are you able to recognize that they have evolved? Are you able to accept that this is a different player than we have seen before? And where Keyonte does get so interesting is that when he has these horrendous games, because maybe every 6 or 7 games, he still puts up an absolute stinker. You know, against Indiana, he was 3 of 12. Against Houston last week, he was 0 of 6. 2 games ago, he was 3 of 12 against Oklahoma City. And the game the Jazz were terrible in. Mm-hmm. And then he bounces back with a career high, shooting 13 of 20. Like, it's not the guy who used to go into the tank after a bad game. And I don't mean tank losing games. I mean, Keyonte would get so down on himself, he couldn't bring himself back out, which is why you would have flashes of like, is this dude an all-star?
Yeah.
Followed by, is this dude an NBA player? And now he's changed that a lot.
Yeah. I actually think you referenced his. My point is, I think the ratio is actually better than you're leading on, because I think you referenced like his 3 bad games, and the Jazz have played
21 games, 22 games.
I thought it was more than that.
Yeah,
but
you might be right.
Something like that.
24 games.
So he's had 1 out of 7.
Mm-hmm.
The ratio used to be 7 out of 8 bad.
Yeah.
But those 2, were good. But my point, I guess, is why was it always everybody argued for Gordon Hayward? I remember the day that Tony Parks said that Gordon Hayward wasn't a number 1. We took phone calls. The board lit up. Everybody was sticking up for that guy and saying, are you seeing the development? He went from 16.2 points last year to 19.3.
Yeah.
He's basically an all-star. And I don't think Keyonte really gets much of that. I think
you're right. And people need to be more patient in general. I will say, though, that when you develop a tanking culture, which is the culture the Jazz have chosen to develop, this is a pathway they have taken. I do think fans want to see more immediate results, and some of that patience goes out the window, though it shouldn't. And maybe that's something that the Jazz should have done a better job of marketing of, hey, yes, we are tanking. Yes, we are going to slow play this. It's not necessarily going to be a quick turnaround. But while we're looking for, players to jump on and help change the franchise relatively quickly, that doesn't mean they're going to be finished products right away, which again goes back to just be careful on giving up on anybody. Even Cody Williams, who's really struggled again.
Now the team could get better, and Keyonte could go back to middling numbers, because that happens a lot too. We talk about Bradley Beal. He was the only good player on a bad team, and so his numbers looked incredible. But if it plays out that Keyonte, when the team turns and the team gets better, and he's a 23-7 guy, I mean,
he's a multi-time
awesome.
He's a multi-time all-star, and he's a legitimate, top 2 player on a very good team, and that's in the cards now.
But I don't feel anybody waving that flag, which is, I just pointed out that it's weird, because this fan base has been really patient and really advocated for players in the past, and I don't feel like it's that way with Keyonte.
And remind me, Keyonte George is 30 years old? Oh, no, he just turned 22.
Yeah, right.
It's a child.
Yeah, so anyway, if people are looking for reasons to be optimistic, that's it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, Dylan Guenther with another game winner, this one in overtime yesterday to beat the Penguins.
We're 30 seconds into OT. Mammoth get the puck back. Dylan Guenther starts accelerating across the blue line. Guenther pulls the trigger and scores! Dylan Guenther does it again!
Somewhat similar to what we were talking about with Keyonte. I guess what's good about this for the Mammoth is they got a very nice win over the Kraken over the weekend, and then responded by falling behind 3-0 yesterday in Pittsburgh on the road, and looked like they were going to get trounced. They take a 4-3 lead. They score 4 goals in about 10 minutes in the third period. Then the Penguins tie it up late, and they never went in the tank. They went to overtime, and then they scored 45 seconds in with the Dylan Guenther winner. This is a team that has not been able to, put one foot in front of the other now for over a month. And the fact that you've stacked a couple of wins, that's how you dig yourself out of this hole. Thank you.
And if Dylan Guenther is a clutch guy, that's really important. I know Christian put his donks at 3, but we can talk about throw picks and what he's actually done is delivered in crunch time.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
This year. And if you've got a guy with Dylan Guenther who's going to go score you goals in overtime, I mean, that's 2 points for a road win.
Yep.
I mean, that's the stuff that makes the playoffs. I mean, I'm not one who likes to get bogged down in and game out because I find that often frustrating. But you can make the argument and you point to specific things like, oh, he got that goal in overtime on the road. That was 2 points that the Mammoth needed. So I think that probably is pretty important. Falling down 0-3 probably isn't ideal.
You got to have a closer. That's the truth. You got to have a closer. And yes, falling behind 0-3 is bad. But considering how down this team has been, that I think they kept their heads up and played extraordinarily well in the fourth period or in the third period, and then in overtime was a very good sign.
All right, what's next?
Guys, I've kept my mouth shut for a long time, but the Broncos have won 11 straight. Best record in the NFL right now.
11 straight's crazy. That's really difficult to do, especially because they started in the tank to begin the season.
And your guy, Throw Picks, looks awesome. He looks like
throwing
he's
touchdowns of practice squad guys.
He looks like he's a dude. Can I tell you a recipe I've always liked in the NFL? I like either offensive coaches coaching a team with a defensive culture or defensive coaches coaching a team with an offensive culture. Because I think sometimes head coaches can do damage. And sometimes, like you go work with the offense, Brian Billick. Ray Lewis and the defense are just fine. Mm-hmm. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. Bill Belichick, hey, Tom Brady, you go work with the offense. I'll meddle with the defense. I think often those cross cultures work. So if you're Denver and you have a baller defense, I mean, defense was not their problem when they had Rusty. Christian, you can probably adhere to that. So you hire an offensive guy to come into a defensive culture and you fix the offense a little bit. You don't mess with the defense and all of a sudden you're winning at an elite level. I've always kind of been fascinated with that.
Here are the best teams right now in the NFL. Tell me which of these records surprises you the most. Broncos are 12-2. Rams are 11-3. Patriots are 11-3. They just lost to the Bills yesterday. Big comeback for the Bills. Seahawks 11-3. Bears 10-4. Jaguars 10-4. Chargers 10-4. Bills 10-4. 49ers 10-4.
Patriots.
It's
there are several candidates, but the Patriots is the answer.
I wonder if yesterday is going to be the rug being pulled out from under them because they had all the momentum and seemed like the best team in the NFL. And to go up 21-0 and lose that game to a division rival with that quarterback specifically, I wonder if that's going to deflate them a little bit. I'll be curious how they bounce back. They've not been in many close games this year.
Was that a Deflategate joke?
No, it was not. But no, this is really, there's some surprising teams. This is why the people do love the NFL, though. Nobody thought the Broncos and the Rams would be at the top of the NFL after, week 13? 14? Nobody thought that's who would be here. So the fact that they are is a fun thing for fans.
Vrabel, defensive guy, finds a quarterback. Yep. You have a defensive culture, or you have Drake May who can go out there. Don't mess with it. You keep that defensive culture. I think it's a recipe for success.
But the Seahawks and the Bears also have 10 wins already. The Seahawks have 11.
Fingernails in the Bears. I mean, that's crazy. But if you look at their schedule, a lot of these surprise teams don't play anybody because the NFL schedules it that way.
Also, you can look at differential, which I do think point differential matters a lot in football, which is, how much are you outscoring your opponents by. It is quite notable that the Seahawks, to their credit, insane, 11-3, have the best differential in the NFL. They're plus 163, meaning they're beating teams by an average of, 12 points a game in their 11 wins. The Bears have a plus-minus, or a differential of plus 27, meaning every game is close, which probably means there's some fool's gold there. And they've won a lot of weird, random, close games, which is what the Chiefs did last year. And then, of course, the big story of the weekend is all the injuries.
Are you prepared to call Caleb a guy?
He's the most guy they've had in a while as far as a quarterback goes. They certainly seem to believe in him, but was it Benny Johnson?
Yeah, I think
he's a good coach.
I think they made a good hire, which is part of it.
What has happened to the Lions since they lost him.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the Bears have
500.
The Bears haven't made a good hire at coach since Ditka. So I guess Lovey was okay. But I think that makes a difference. Are you prepared to call Drake May a guy?
I more believe in Drake May than I do fingernails. But look, we've got, what's his name with the Seahawks right now, who was just in Sam Darnold, who's good. Like, I don't think he's elite. I think he's very good.
I think
And he's winning.
Minnesota misses him. Okay, but I'm talking about young players, not necessarily retreads. Are you prepared to call throw picks a guy?
Not yet. Probably not yet. I mean, where are we on Trevor Lawrence? Like, Trevor Lawrence is up and down every week. They're at 10 wins too. I'm not sure you need to have
I don't think
Josh Allen right now to be the best team in the NFL.
I agree with that, but I don't think Trevor's a guy, or at least he hasn't proven it yet.
That's fair.
I don't think so.
But the league is topped by a bunch of teams that don't have Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady in their prime right now, which I think is really interesting.
At this point, I'm pretty close to calling throw picks a guy. And I hate the Donks. I'm disgusted. It's even on the top 3 of KSL Sport stories at KSLSports.com.
Bo Nix, what are his numbers this year? Let me see. Bo Nix has 3,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, tied for 5th, 9 interceptions, tied for 23rd. He's still throwing a lot of interceptions. Not a ton, but, not great. Numbers aren't crazy, but you're right. He does deliver when he needs.
What year is it for him?
This is year 2, right? This is year 3. Year 2.
It's
great.
Going to be in the playoffs both years, going out and beating teams in the fourth quarter when it matters. I'm not in any hurry to give the Donks any credit, but he's pretty close to being a guy.
I think there's as good a chance that he turns into Brock Purdy as that he turns into, I don't know, who's been the 5th best quarterback in the NFL.
But Brock Purdy had an all-star offense. I don't think you can say that for the Donks.
No, that's true. But they do have a great defense.
I mean, they had 2 receivers, arguably the best tight end. They had 2 running backs. Yeah, I don't know if that's all that comparable to what Throw Picks is doing.
Let me see what Fingernails has done. Caleb Williams has 3,100 yards. He has 21 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So 2 fewer touchdowns, 3 fewer interceptions, 100 fewer yards. They're basically identical, stats-wise.
Several fewer wins.
1 fewer win?
2
fewer wins? 2 fewer wins. And again, the differential is pretty massive. Let me see what the Broncos differential is since we're talking about it really quickly. Yeah. It is 81. Again, 81, and the next 3 teams are all over 100 and have fewer wins.
And the Donks are still paying Rusty, right?
Rams are plus 159. Patriots are plus 106. Seahawks, league best, plus 163.
What they've built in Denver with the resources they've had is pretty remarkable.
Bills being plus 87, despite the fact that they're down the standings a little bit. Probably worth keeping an eye on.
The Bills' defense sucks. There are several flaws about Denver. I would not pick them to win the Super Bowl at this point, but honestly, I don't know who I would.
I'd pick the Rams. If I had to pick one team to win the Super Bowl right now, I'd probably pick the Rams.
Because?
Stafford's been there before. I think Puka Nacua is the best receiver in football. They're just legit week in and week out. They really find a way to deliver.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.